All right. It looks like we are live. Welcome, everybody, to another Ask a Digital Mentor. I think we're on episode number 4 here on our weekly Wednesday Ask a Digital Mentor live stream sessions. And we are starting today by bringing on some guests. We're going to start bringing some guests onto these live streams over the next few weeks. And so, our first guest here today is someone that's been around our community for quite some time. And I've had the pleasure and honor of working with her very closely for the last couple of years and just seeing her grow her business, grow and scale, and make a bigger impact, reach more people, grow her audiences, grow her influence, and of course, as a result of all of that, grow her revenue as well. So it's been really awesome to watch. And there's so many things that we could have talked about here today, Stacey, but we're going to talk about a very interesting topic because it's one that I think to a lot of people, it seems like so far away, such an impossibility. Like, how do I get other people to promote me? How do I get other people to promote my courses and my offers, whether it's through JVs or getting some big influencers? And you had quite a few people promoting your stuff, but recently you had someone who's got over 1 million followers or so. And so we're going to be talking today about what it takes to get to that position. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest here today, the very special and amazing sales and marketing guru and coach, Stacey Hall. Stacey, how you doing today?
Norbert, I'm thrilled. And just give me a moment to say to everyone what has happened in my business is truly a direct result of the mentorship of Norbert combined with the tools of digital mentors. I've been doing business and sales and marketing strategy consulting for a very long time. But when I had the foresight, I'm going to pat myself on the back for choosing Norbert as my mentor and digital mentors as my platform to grow. Everything that I've wanted to accomplish, I have, and I'm actually in the process of developing new goals. And those goals are now, how do I work in conjunction with these tools to be able to help more people do what I've been able to do? So Norbert, it's true. We started working together. My income increased 500% in 6 months. That is 100% true. And it's just continued ever since, as has my reach. But I didn't start where I am today. And I know that's what we're going to talk about, is how did I build up to this?
Yeah, exactly. And so let's maybe take it a few steps back first before we jump into this, because you obviously overnight aren't going to go from a place where you're just starting your business or you're struggling to attract clients, and then all of a sudden you're going to get people promoting you and joint venture opportunities and influencers and stuff like that. So it's obviously a process. Can you take us back um, to maybe some of the false beliefs that you had around what it would take to get to this position, if you can think back a few years?
Well,
Or is this something that you've had experience with in the past, but it's taken on a new shape today?
Well, prior to going online, if anybody goes to net business networking events, it's all about collaboration. So I will say that I brought the same mindset of collaboration to social media. But as you well know, and many folks who know me know, when I tried to translate what I would do in person to social media, I wound up in Facebook jail 6 times in 5 months. So while the behavior human being to human being is going to be exactly the same, how we are able to utilize social media with the algorithms so we don't get shut down, we don't look like a spammer, that was important for me to learn. And that's actually how I wound up originally coming to meet you, was because I had no idea why I kept getting shut down. And you did.
And that was a few years ago. You're way past
Yes.
that point. Let's talk about the concept of collaboration.
Yes.
Let's talk about the mindset and the perspective that you have to approach the idea of collaboration with, because I think some people maybe go into collaboration with too much of a what's in it for me mentality. And so what would you share about your experiences with collaboration and joint ventures and working with other people and having affiliates and all that kind of stuff? Mindset wise, perspective wise, how do you have to approach it?
Well, I'm going to say that I don't think there's anything wrong with having a what's in it for me approach, because when we do, that means we've got clear goals and clear results we want to create. And influencers are all about clear goals and results. So having that is actually, I would say, a benefit. However, we do have to show we're interested in them. So to just go to an influencer and go, oh, I see you've got 100,000 followers. Let me send a message. Oh, would you ever be open to collaboration? That ain't going to happen. Okay, first off, you're probably going to get their VA or their business manager, and the business manager is going to go, oh, that's very nice if you want to send a proposal, and the proposal will go in the delete file of the email. So what I find is so easy to do and doesn't get done. If we're on Facebook, if we're on LinkedIn, if we're on Instagram or TikTok and we want to meet an influencer, spend some time in their group. And if it's a group, send a private message to say thank you for creating the group. That's step number 1. I just requested to join your group. Thanks for letting me in. I really appreciate that you started it. And read the description, because it will usually explain why they started the group. And say something to them about what's in the description so they know you actually took the time to read it. It's like, Norbert, is there anything easier? They tell you everything. All we have to do is say, thank you for letting me in. And I can't begin to tell you how many people will never, ever do that. Will never even think about doing that.
Right. So that's a perfect example of just simple things that you can do to begin to develop that relationship with a potential collaborator. And so, do you do this strategically, or is this just like something that you do naturally, or is this something that you strategically, like it's a marketing strategy the way that, promoting on social media is a
Yeah.
marketing strategy?
Yes. Oh, it's definitely a marketing strategy, because when we're in alignment with our audience, then what we want to do is go to places and to influencers. When I say places, groups created by influencers, and then influencers' pages where our audience is hanging out. But what often gets taught is go poach those people, like go there and then start making friends with their followers. I'm not saying not to do that. I'm just saying, why not be respectful and acknowledge the person who brought all those people together? So sometimes when people hear strategy, they hear manipulation, Norbert. I'm not coming from manipulation. I'm coming from, yes, my strategy involves being respectful and appreciative and full of gratitude that somebody put the time, the effort, and their energy to bring in a group of people together that I can then meet. Thank you so much for doing that for me. And so some people are going to say, well, then what do you do after that? Well, what do you do after that is you start participating in the group the way the influencer wants you to participate. Add valuable content. Don't just pitch people. If you're going to comment on other people's posts, add something that continues the conversation. Don't just pitch your own thing. I just deleted a comment in my group. I did a post. It was very clearly a curiosity post about something I'm doing, and somebody added a comment about what they're doing. And this is a private group, not a public group. And it's like, continue the conversation. And if people like what you have to say, they'll reach out to you. You don't have to say, come contact me and I'll give you more information. Like, that's just tacky stuff. Yep. So is this making sense? Like, that's what it means about being let's think about how we want to show up in front of that influencer if we eventually want them to collaborate with us.
Mm-hmm. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about what you can do to be attractive to an influencer or somebody that you might want to
Yes.
collaborate with. But is there a specific type of person that you are looking for to collaborate? Because not everyone's going to be a good collaborator, especially to actually promote your stuff. So, do you have a criteria? Is there something that you look for? Is there some tips that you can give people there as far as who to look for in potential promoters, collaborators, and all that kind of stuff? Or do you leave it more open and kind of see where the relationships develop?
I'm not going to say it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. It's both. However, people leave clues. So there was an influencer years ago who actually reached out to me to collaborate. And I went to her pages and her group. And she was large. I think she retired. I haven't seen anything from her in a long time. And she had been around for a long time before that. And I noticed that people on her page would leave the most wonderful compliments for her, most wonderful appreciation for her work. And there was never a thank you. There was never an acknowledgement. I know it seems weird, but actually that still happens. It's sort of like they're on a pedestal. And of course, you would be grateful to me, right? So I'm going to say, do your homework. If there's somebody you're interested in, notice whether they actually comment. And it may not actually be them. They may have a business manager doing it for them. That said, it means it's still important to them that they're paying somebody to acknowledge people. So you want to look for clues that they care about other people. They're not just there to be a me influencer. So that's the first. That would be strategic. And then sometimes you're not going to know. You just have to take, my favorite phrase is play, explore, discover. So I haven't quite explained how to contact them when you're ready, because you want to spend a good amount of time, and I would say at least a month, if not longer, hanging out in their space, showing up, being a contributor, not a promoter.
I love that. I love that. Okay. Really quick before we continue on, I always like at the beginning to kind of share some of the things that are going on in the community for you guys to connect with. And so I just want to let you guys know that we do have our live workshop coming up on the 13th. So about 10 days away is going to be our Revolution workshop, and we've added an AI component into that. So we're actually going to be showing you how to create your first or next offer at this workshop. And I even do a demo where I show you how we create a sales page in 40 minutes flat. So, we show you how to use AI and quick ways to create your sales pages and your offers. So check that out. This next Saturday, April 13th. And the link is digitalmentors.com/workshop. So just want to let you guys know about that so you can take advantage of that workshop. And the tickets are complimentary still at this time for this event. So check that out and come join us on the 13th. Okay, so with that just being shared there, Stacey, let's transition a little bit and talk about how do you become attractive enough for an influencer or potential collaborator to even consider you? Because let's be honest, the way we show up and position ourselves online is going to be very, very important, whether or not we'll either be considered by somebody who has a large audience. So how do we become attractive to somebody like that?
Okay, so I want to tell you, Norbert's not paying me to say this. I have lost track of how many times I've been to the workshop. How do you get there? Quickly, you go to the workshop and you get taught the tools and how to do it quickly so you can create materials that look like you've been around for a while, like you know what you're doing. So, Norbert, you referred to this influencer who, yes, I put out a program, And I want to go back one step. Why would a collaborator, why would an influencer want to collaborate with us is not because we duplicate what they do, but that we have a way to serve their same audience. And if we can create a program that fills a gap so they don't have to do it, they're very likely to split the proceeds with you, which is what's happening with me, if you can do the work and show up the way they would show up. So in this particular case, I've had a program that I've been promoting that I used the tools and digital mentors to create. And when it felt like the right time to put it out there to her, I'd been in her group for a while, and I just said, hey, I've been paying this in this particular group. I pay as a membership, but lots of people do. And she doesn't collaborate with most people. And I said, I'm noticing that you haven't had a program about this topic, which happens to be on how to get on the TEDx stage. I said, I believe, based on my audience being similar to yours, this is a topic that your audience would want. Let me know if you agree. And she wrote back immediately. And she said, let me see what you've got. So I was able to give her the ebook, the recordings, the promotional funnel page that I had been using. And then she took it because she likes to have her brand all over it, but she took my materials and then she recreated them, added her voice to them, and it became a true collaboration. I'm going to tell you it's even better than I could create. And I have to pay for one iota of that other than my digital mentors membership. And yes, as I said, I'm a member of her group. That said, like this many people she collaborates with out of 1 million people who are in her group. And 1 million is not an exaggeration. That's how many she has.
Okay, yeah, so that's a really large audience that potentially your offer is going to be in front of. That's a really
No,
big
it
deal.
is.
It
It
is,
has
yeah.
been this
It's
week.
gonna be
Yeah, it
important.
is.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Um, so we understand like how important that positioning is. How do we get there? Like, because that could seem like such an overwhelming thing because again, like comparitis, right? Comparing yourself to others. I mean, I can show, your sales page and a couple of the offers that you have, and your stuff looks really good. It wasn't always like that.
Nope.
So how do you kind of get around because it really is a long-term strategy. Like what we're sharing here, guys, is not a quick fix, quick money, quick cash, quick results, quick success, find somebody with 1 million person following and get promoted by them. This is not an easy thing to do, and it doesn't happen overnight. So how do you get into the mindset and the strategy of getting to this place where you have these assets that present you as a professional and someone that has value to offer the market?
Okay, so there's two things. First off, you said it isn't easy. It actually is easy if you have the right support. Okay, I'm not going to make it seem like it's hard if you have the right support. Will it take time? Yeah, now, I wouldn't recommend going to somebody with 1 million people to start with, but there's others who are at your level and you can get practice, which I did. I used to do webinars, joint webinars with folks, and then they would sell their stuff and I would sell mine, and they would be complementary. And I did that for a couple of years. But here's the two strands, if you will. We must be building our own audience in the ways that Digital Mentors teaches, which is being very clear. And I'm going to come back to the workshop because that's what the workshop is very, I'm looking for the word. I'm going to say it makes it easy. There is a format, there's a process to pull out of you what may have been difficult to express as to who your audience is. And they have that down. It's called the compass, and it works. It completely works. Now, once you know that, then it's getting out there and meeting people who match your audience and being seen, so that if a potential influencer goes to your page, you're talking to them, you're reaching out. First thing they're going to do is go to your page. They're going to want to see how many friends do you have or how many followers, and how often are you adding valuable content on your sites. So that's really important. And if you don't know how to do that, then the workshop is going to teach you that. And then the other stream of activity is also going to be taught at the workshop. I mean, it's like an amazing workshop in one day. That said, as I said, I go back all the time to refine and refine and refine. The other stream of activity is creating your work so that it doesn't look like some amateur PDF, is what I want to say, or just a webinar that you put up there and here's the replay. Can you do those things? Yeah, once you've established yourself as, I mean, there are many times I just do a webinar and it's like, here's the replay. But if I want my content, there's certain pieces of content that are really important. I'm going to put my time and my energy into building those. And you have to have the right tools. And it's not that it's not easy, but for me, it is complicated sometimes. The tech stuff's a bit complicated. So yeah, this is an evergreen program that Norbert and Jim Finale, Brian Finale, they all participated, was in the workshop, also in private mentorship as well. And it's my Selling from Your Comfort Zone masterclass.
So, and this is, this is your core masterclass, your core offer, your main course, your flagship course, so to speak.
Yes.
And so you invested the time and the money to make this asset look excellent and look professional. And this is actually an interesting addition that you added to make this course unique, is you brought in collaborators as well
Yes.
into the course. So
Well,
not only are they getting access to your training in your course, but they're getting access to all of these experts and the unique specific trainings that these experts contributed to your course, which I thought was a really excellent addition to, instead of just selling another course, having this collaborative aspect. And so, like, I really see how collaboration is such a core part of your business. It's not just an afterthought. It's not just like something that you do, but it's a core part of your business. And you kind of skipped a little bit over that multi-year journey of how these collaborations kind of evolved. Initially it's just connecting with people and making relationships, building your network. Then eventually you might do a webinar together with some people. Then you get invited to speak at a summit or something like
yes.
that.
Yes.
And these collaborations just kind of grow to the point where now the larger and larger influencers are noticing you and reaching out to you, or you're reaching out to them, and you've got more clout and credibility. So I think we need to understand that whole journey and that process, and that we can start wherever we're at. What can you
Yeah.
say to that?
Well, you just laid it out very well. I'm going to step in. So at the point where you talked about summits and events, I participated even before I was a speaker. I would sign up. I would write to the person who was organizing it and I'd say, wow, I really enjoyed that. And I wouldn't just download all the bonus stuff for free. I'd actually communicate. If they had live sessions, I'd be there. Again, this is about showing up in front of them.
Tip.
Okay.
That was like, I wish I could just do some animations with like light bulbs going off right now, because that, you guys pay attention to that. Communicate. It's really that simple. But
Yes.
how many times, if you're already selling courses or coaching programs or doing stuff online, it's actually amazing how little communication you get sometimes. And
Absolutely.
there's not enough people that genuinely reach out with valuable engagement and communication and gratitude, et cetera, et cetera. So you can very easily stand out from the
Yes.
thousands of people in somebody's audience by just doing these simple things, right?
I've participated now as a presenter in a major influencer summits. She gets thousands of people downloading. When she does a live session in the audience, these are even people who might have paid to be there. If there's 10 people on, I'm always amazed. It's like, oh, I'll just get the recording. Okay, if you don't see that as an opportunity missed to show up like a leader, to be able to share something impressively thoughtful, as Norbert said, to stand out, well, then you're not really a marketer. And that's what some people think strategy has to be hard. That's why I said it's not hard. You show up in front of them, let them see you, talk to them. Eventually, they're going to start responding to your private messages themselves because they know you're a raving fan. And if you're a raving fan, then you get them. And if you get them and then you want to offer something to them, they already get that there's this alignment. Remember, I'm all about alignment. And what you saw Norbert share with you, how did I get all those people to say to be in my program? I did something with every single one of them leading up to the masterclass. That was strategic. I knew eventually I was going to have a masterclass. And I knew that to get the pricing for it that I would want, I'd have to wow my audience, really wow my audience. And I didn't want to have to do all the bonuses myself. And besides, who wants Stacey all the time? So these are every one of these folks over the last couple of years. I have shown up for them. I've promoted something for them. I've been in something they did. And I developed the relationship. And then I chose them. How did I decide who? Because when I started seeing their promotions coming through to me, I went, would this person be an adjunct? Would they complement what I'm offering in my masterclass? And if I said yes, then that's it. They know I just love on them, gratitude, shared them. And when it came time for me last fall to say, all right, I'm ready to come out with my, my opus, if you will, my symphony, and I'd like to feature you in it. Would you be willing to give me a gift to add on? And they gave me their gifts without me paying them anything. That said, they're also promoting it. And I'm promoting, so their bonus gift is no charge to people once they pay for the masterclass. But of course, they're getting exposure to my audience. And if anybody goes to them through my masterclass, I receive an affiliate commission. Mm-hmm. And if they bring anybody to me with their affiliate code, they're getting 50% of my program, which is kind of unheard of in our industry. That's another way that I honor an influencer. They all said to me, you don't have to give me 50%. Going rate is 20. I said, I know. I want you to have 50 because that's a person I wouldn't have had without you. So there's lots and lots of ways to show up like you care about them. And that to me is the secret to collaboration.
I love it. Let's talk a little bit let's go back again to something else that you mentioned, which was messaging. Essentially, you were talking about the value of the workshop and how we help you to clarify your messaging.
Yes.
And that really is such a critical factor, especially when you're looking to collaborate with others and you're looking to leverage other people's audiences, right? And this strategy of collaborations and JVs, it is one of the core, fundamental, most important, and most powerful marketing strategies in the entire online marketing space. I want you to really understand how big of, because, when we talk about getting traffic and growing your business, people think about Facebook ads or YouTube ads or ads, right? Paid advertising, or they think about social media content, putting out lots of content and reels and stuff like that. All of that is great. All of that is a lot of work. I mean, it's all a lot of work, but very few people consider collaborations and JVs and leveraging other people's existing audiences as a core marketing strategy. And, I really feel it really should be. But in order for you to be successful with it, the clarity in your messaging is so critical. You and me right now are working on podcast guesting, right? Getting
Yes.
getting me on podcast guests. And we have spent hours, tedious hours
Not tedious for me, but maybe for you.
clarifying my messaging, clarifying how I want to present myself to these podcast hosts, right? Who are you? Who do you help? How do you help them? And why should we care? How is this going to be a win-win-win? How is this going to benefit the collaborator? You need to be able to communicate that through your messaging. And how difficult is it? So think about yourself right now, if you're listening to this. If somebody asks you, what do you do? How easy is it for you to confidently and boldly answer that question with conviction, right? So that somebody feels your confidence and your conviction in what you do. Most people struggle with that. And so I just want to go back to this messaging
Mhm.
thing because it's so important in all these different realms of collaboration, whether it's podcasting, right? Getting guests on your podcast or getting on podcasts, whether it's a summit, whether it's actually having affiliate marketers and joint venture partners promoting your stuff. Let's talk about messaging. What is key when it comes to this, to communicating your value to somebody else in this way?
Okay. So I'm going to come out this. I'm going to take your core and I'm going to expand on what you said because there's so many aspects to this. And again, that's why I come back to the workshop over and over again because you can never, I don't think you'll ever be able to synthesize it down 100%, but you can keep getting better and better and better at it. So I had said originally that having been out in the world face-to-face marketing, I used to go to a lot of networking groups. And that's a good place to be able to hone in because when you introduce yourself, it's usually a 30-second intro. And you have to somehow get in the most important pieces in 30 seconds. But a lot of folks who come to be entrepreneurs only online have never had that kind of training to be able to say it succinctly. I coached my clients too, and they've heard me say this 1,000 times, is please only say what is important to the other person. Okay, if I had more time
Light bulbs right there. Only say what's important to the
to
other
the
person.
other person, if I had more time, I would talk less. And unfortunately, many people fill up the time talking instead of listening, and they talk themselves right out of sales. They talk themselves right out of collaborations. They just keep talking themselves out. So that's the first piece is most likely, because this is what most people do, most likely you're saying too much. So then how would you know what to say? As I said, in the compass portion of the workshop, we're defining who the audience is that is likely to need what we're selling. Because it's not everybody. And I think most of the folks who are watching today know, like they've stopped going there. It's not everybody. But then inside of the science, so let's be really specific. Let's say your audience is entrepreneurs who are struggling to make sales. That sounds like a niche, but is it? Are they entrepreneurs struggling to make sales because they don't know how to use social media correctly? Are they entrepreneurs struggling to make sales because they have confidence issues? Are they entrepreneurs who are struggling to make sales because they're doing it on the side of a full-time job? See, that's where we start niching down. When you know your true ideal audience, then when you give an introduction and it's 30 seconds, it can be said in 30 seconds or less. All right, now they're going to pay attention to you. And then once going back to the collaboration, when you're very, very clear who your audience is and how you serve them, and you say that to a potential collaborator and explain, this is my audience, this is the problem I solve, this is my niche inside of your larger audience, they're going to say, great, then you can focus on that niche while I serve my whole audience. And that's what just keeps happening for me, because I'm very, very clear what's the niche that I'm serving. I know we're getting lots of comments on the side here, but I'm hoping that that's translating.
Yeah, guys, it is. Definitely, if you guys have any questions, if there's any questions that are coming up, please post them in the comments on YouTube and Facebook, and we'll be looking for those questions. We're going to keep Stacey on here for just a few more minutes. Can we talk a little bit about personalize, because it's on this same topic, like understanding what's important to them. So we're doing this a lot in the podcast strategy right now. Personalizing your communication to the individual, right? How important is that? And what are some different ways that you can personalize it? You said one example that you gave was if you have a specific niche within their broader niche. Another example I can think of is if you have a specific unique solution that you deliver or teach on that they don't deliver or teach on that complements. There's a couple of different angles that you can take as far as different approaches for different people. Is there any other tips that you would give when thinking about how do I, personalize this to this particular individual?
Honestly, Norbert, I think those are the two.
Two big ones.
An influencer. So let's get in the mind of an influencer,
Yeah.
right? If they're out there on social media, their goal is, yes, to make a difference for others. I have yet to find a true influencer who wasn't trying in some way, shape, or form to change the world for the better. Maybe you guys can think, I just don't live in a world where people don't want to make things better. So let's always know we want to come from, when we're making connections with these folks, yes, it's about money. For the most part, they probably don't need any more money. They're not in a survival mode. They're in a thriving mode. So when folks are thriving, they can start to make these bigger differences. And that's what we want to communicate to them. How can we help them make a bigger difference, or a more emotionally compelling difference? Emotionally compelling being, they're looking at the macro. And again, when we can come into a niche, we're looking at the micro, which means really loving on these folks. So with the TEDx, okay, could she have done it? She could have done it herself. She didn't need me. It wasn't coming from need. It was, whoa, you've already done it? I can just get my graphic designers to, make it look my branding. Perfect. Thank you. Now it's coming under her heading. I don't care. I wanted to come under her heading. My ego doesn't need to be there. When they get the information, they'll see it's me. They'll know how to get in touch with me. But I want her to be feeling like she's giving them something special that she didn't have to do. And that's it. It's, remember, people don't care how much we know. They want to know how much we care. And influencers want to know how much will we help them care for their audience.
Love it. Love it. I'm just thinking right now about how easy collaborations can be. I was just looking at the next two guests that I have coming on this live stream. And next week, we've got Katie Suick coming on, who does Telesummits, which is all about collaborations. And then the week after that, I've got Eric King, and he just did a collaborative event with a couple of speakers as well. And so collaborations, you can see like that, the collaborations is a huge theme. So what my thought was, and cut me off if you had a thought that you wanted to share on that.
I know you sparked a light bulb, so I will say it. You go ahead, finish your thought, and then I
Well,
will
because
say
I'm
it.
going to go in a different direction here for.
Oh, well, then I'll stop. And
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, in this age of AI, what will distinguish us is human interaction. I was watching some, I think it was the Daily Show actually from last night. Jon Stewart had somebody on, they were talking about AI and the lack of humanity. These people who are leading the way in AI say it's about humanity, but then in every breath they're talking about how it's going to put people out of business and blah, 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 blah. I would say the antidote to AI is collaboration.
Mm. Yeah, the human connection, which
Mm-hmm.
yeah, which AI and robots will never replace. There's something magical about about humans that we I think we will always strive for the human connection, no matter how much that can be replaced with alternatives. It's never authentic, right? So where I was going to be going as we're talking about collaboration is what are some early, like some easy places to start collaborating now for everybody. And the what came to my mind was when you think about content creators, right? And we all watch content all day long,
Yes.
whether it's YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or whatever. Think about content creators like YouTubers and stuff. One of their core marketing strategies is collabs, is creating content together in collaboration with other content creators. People have always been sharing their audiences, and for some reason in the business space, um, it's a very small elite almost group of people that actually partner together and collaborate together and work together. But in the content creator space, it's just that's what you do. Like creating collabs with other influencers, with other content creators is just part of what you do. It's such a normal, natural thing to do. TikTok, even one of the new technologies that they rolled out, and this is years ago now, was the collabs, being able to take other people's content and just add your own stuff to it with the green screen or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That was the whole evolution of these collaborations. And so I want you to think about yourself right now. How can you start collaborating with other people? This live stream right here is collaboration, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
we're leveraging Stacey's notoriety and Stacey's audience by having her as a guest. It's good content that she shares with her audience. It's good content for our audience. And so now instead of just digital mentors reaching our audience, we're also reaching Stacey's audience as well. She's literally streaming this to her social media profile at the same time that we're streaming to our profile. So here's one very simple example of how you can start collaborating. What are some different ideas that you could give people right now as far as what can you do right now, today, without having to build up all the assets and all that kind of stuff to take advantage of collaborations?
Okay, well, if a lot of the folks I'm seeing commenting, so I'm going to speak to these folks, are involved with digital mentors in some way, shape, or form, start collaborating together. Like, just get the practice is what I would say, is reach out to each other. You all know what each other's programs are. You've been going to the workshops, many of you, and you've become friends. Now think about how or who would make a great partner for you in sharing similar content or different content to a similar audience. That you share the same audience, you can teach them two different things, but together, because they complement each other. That would be the first. And if you're not involved with the digital mentors community, then you probably are in groups with folks, or as Norbert said, on TikTok or Pinterest or Instagram. Go to hashtags. Like, go to hashtags that relate to your topic. Look for who's creating content. Start commenting on their content first, and then send messaging that says, I really love what you're doing. So I was at a book, authors also have been collaborating for a long time, many authors, right? I think it comes out of the educational community, because there's a lot of research papers and things have always had collaborators. So I was at a marketing conference for authors this morning, and one of the speakers, who I don't know, was talking about social media marketing. He did a great job. I agreed with everything he said. And he has a book that's very similar to my book. So I found him on LinkedIn. He said, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I found him and I sent him, while he was still talking, a message. Loving what you're sharing on the marketing conference right now. Love the concepts in your book. We have the same publisher, which we do. Be fun to collaborate and share, for our audiences. Are you open to that? I was there. I was at the conference. It was an online conference. Like, it can't get any easier than that. Go to conferences, talk to people who serve your audience in similar ways. And my favorite phrase is play, explore, discover. Even if you don't think you're ready, who knows? Maybe you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can start simple, start easy, but start looking for those opportunities right away. And also I guess there's also a strategic kind of vision planning part of it as well. I noticed that you said, you knew that you were going to make this masterclass at some point. And I don't know how long you had that vision in your mind, but probably a couple of years.
Well, I started writing Selling from Your Comfort Zone, gosh, during COVID, right? So what are we, 2024?
24 now.
Yeah, it came out, God, 2022.
Yeah.
So I started writing in 2021. And because I know, and this was reinforced at the marketing conference, you don't make money from royalties of a book. You make money by creating content, training, courses around your book, which explains to y'all why I keep going back to the workshop. That was it. I was like, okay, I'm writing the book. It's going to be out there. That's great. People can access the book. What content do I want to create around it? And I wanted to have them have a virtual experience of me not reading the book, because I have an audible version of it, but me actually explaining the behind the scenes. Why does this work? How does this work? Because there's only so much you can put in a book. So yeah, I had been planning the masterclass for more than 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love what you said there too. Like for authors, nonfiction authors, I just cannot imagine how you would put all the time and energy into writing a book and then not have some kind of virtual course to accompany that book to make a boatload of money.
Yeah.
I just cannot see why you would do one without the other. I mean, I'm doing it backwards, right? We've got the courses and the programs first, and then I'm going to write a book to get more promotion and exposure for it. But if you're already an author and you've already written the book, man, create a course. And all you have to do is just what you said, Stacey, just explain, just go into depth about the book, turn on the camera and start recording yourself talking about the topics in the chapter. I guarantee you're going to add a ton of value to what's already written in the pages of the book based on each chapter that you've written for the book. And there's a digital course for you now that can accompany the book and will, I would say, make the majority of your revenue. I'd actually be curious. I don't know if you know off the top of your head, percentage wise, how much money have you brought in through book sales compared to course sales?
Course sales, 90%. Yeah. And it was funny that you asked. That's why I'm giggling, because on the marketing conference this morning, this husband and wife have created 100, literally 100 books, and not even pamphlets. But they got involved. They're researchers. They get involved with associations and things. So they asked a poll of all of us authors, what % of your income comes from your book versus your courses? And we were all between 80 and 90% from our courses.
And how many of the authors would you say have courses to sell and how many don't? Is it the majority?
That's the difference. There were a lot of folks who weren't making money because they didn't have a course. And that's why this presentation was there. Full disclosure, I was on the committee to help to select the speakers for this conference. And yeah, that's why it was so important. And they were the first speakers to educate the author community of how important it is to have a course and training programs. It just is. And it's more
90%.
important than ever.
Yeah. I mean, Stacey, you're talking about 9xing, 9 timesing your book sales revenue. So anyone who
That's
has a
right.
book, who has sales revenue, multiply that number by 9, and that's what you could be making if you have a course, essentially, is what you're saying. That's huge.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Okay, Stacey, let's wrap this up. We're getting up to the top of the hour here. This was super valuable. We've covered a lot. Really appreciate all of the comments. I'm not seeing any questions, so if you guys don't have any questions, that's fine. If you have one, post it right now so we can answer that question really quick. But other than that, Stacey, any kind of last words of wisdom that maybe we haven't covered, something to share with people watching
Yes.
when it comes to collaboration and just taking your influence and impact to the next level?
So I'm actually, let's take the word influence and impact out of it, because sometimes that can scare the bejeebus out of people. Okay,
Okay.
so this is why I want to leave everybody with. I would bet that everybody has made a friend at some point in their life, just a friend. And I bet you do things with that friend that you enjoy doing. I want you to think about collaboration like that. Making a friend who would enjoy doing with you what you enjoy doing, because they would enjoy doing it too. And if you think about collaboration like that, and I do want to say, Yusuf, I saw your comment, collaboration leading to action. I think that's what I said. That was cool. Okay. But I want to take strategy out. I want to take all those technical words out. Can you just go make some friends with people who are doing what you're doing?
I think it's a perfect place to end it because that's really what it's all about, as simple as it can possibly get. And that is something that you can go do right away. You can start taking action on that immediately, regardless of where you're at in your business and your positioning online and all of the assets you've built up and all that kind of stuff. You can start making some connections and making some friends right now. That is what social media is supposed to be about,
Right.
right? So let's take it back to the basics. Awesome stuff, Stacey. This was really great. This was kind of spur of the moment. This idea to bring you on, just kind of spur of the moment, happened just before the weekend, and I'm so glad that we just did it for this Wednesday. This was really
Thank you.
great value, very great information, and look forward to more people accessing this and taking collabor action as well.
Thank you, Yusuf Scully. Thank you, Norbert, for asking me.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, awesome, guys. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for commenting and engaging. Please like and share and subscribe. Go ahead and check out Stacey on her socials as well. And then come and check out the Digital Mentors Compass. That's our AI tool to help you get a personalized report on how you can monetize your knowledge. It'll help you clarify some of your messaging. And then come and show up to our digitalmentors.com/workshop. Next one happening on April 13th. And we'd love to see you there. So, with that being said, guys, have an amazing rest of your evening. We will see you next week for next week's episode. Take care, everybody.